background, I've been dreaming about Costa Rica all day long, thinking about this presentation. So if I could teleport there right now, I definitely would. So just want to introduce myself. I've been with G Adventures now since 2005. Over the course of that many years, I've been fortunate enough to travel on quite a few of our tours. The very first G Adventures trip I did was actually before I joined the company, and it was a Costa Rica tour that I did with my folks back in 2002. So putting the presentation together over the past couple of weeks has allowed me to kind of think back on the experiences that I had with my folks way back then. And every time I see a picture of a zipline, I think about my mom and the person who would never go on a roller coaster ever in her life, and her kind of on the zipline going as fast as she could through the cloud forest. So it's been really fun for me to put this together for you guys tonight. So I want to take a little bit of time just to talk about why traveling with G Adventures first. We are going to get into Costa Rica just momentarily, but if you haven't yet had the chance to travel with us, definitely put it on your radar. We are the world's largest small group adventure travel. We do small groups, meaning you're in a group of 12 to 16 like-minded travelers that are from all corners of the globe, but also really excited to explore with you. We use locally based guides, so we call them our CEOs. They're our chief experience officers, and they are like hands down the most passionate people that you will ever meet. They've been there, done that. They're from the country that you're visiting. They can tell you all of the stories of the history and culture, but also help you to translate menus, make sure you're going in the right direction, and give you any extra in-destination assistance that you might have when you're traveling away from home. Within our tours, we like to build in flexibility, freedom, and fun. So if you haven't ever traveled in a group, this is something that seems to come up as an obstacle, is that often people think of group travel and you think of, I don't know, having to wear like matching name tags or matching hats and following someone with like an umbrella that's waving at you, or listening with to someone speaking to a microphone, or having those headpieces. But our tours are very different than that. They're all based on sustainable travel. It's really grassroots. It's using a lot of local services, and it's making sure that that money is going back into the local destinations. But we always like to have fun. So we're not going to herd you around. We probably will wake you up early to make sure that you're getting the most out of your adventure. But there's always going to be a little bit of extra free time for you to explore, because we're all natural born explorers. With everything that's happened over the past, well, I guess almost 12 months now, we've changed our booking terms and conditions. So we have measures in place to help keep you safe from the moment that you book to the moment you come home. So flexible booking terms and conditions, additional safety measures in place for you, regardless of which destination you're choosing to go up to. Our tours are built to support local communities. I kind of alluded to this about the money staying in destination. We really focus on community tourism. We recently hosted a panel actually talking on that topic just last week, and the idea of partnering with local communities to make sure that we're providing them with really amazing ways to support themselves and to support their friends and their neighbors. And that's where we come in with G for Good, which are the projects that we support in destination. There is one that we talk a lot about in Costa Rica, and it's the Mi Cafecito Coffee Cooperative, which you'll learn about in just a few moments. With 2021 and 2022 in mind, we have been awarded the Safe Travel stamp from the World Travel and Tourism Council, which means that not only are we abiding by the rules that we've created, we're actually integrating a lot of the World Travel and Tourism guidelines in terms of operating our tours in light of everything that the world's gone through with the recent global pandemic. So rest assured, you will be taken care of when you go on a trip with G Adventures. We are headquartered here in Canada, but we have global offices all around the world that support our local guides to make sure that you're staying safe when you're on tour. Now, it's time to talk about the destination, and Costa Rica is really the perfect introduction to adventure travel. If you want to let Dave know in the comment section what brought you to Costa Rica tonight, what you're most excited about. I think there were some comments on that earlier tonight. So is it, are you like a wildlife enthusiast? Do you love birds? Do you really like to eat beans and rice? Are you looking for beaches? Do you want to climb on a volcano. What is it that you're most excited about when you're thinking about Costa Rica as a destination? Or is it just that you're ready to get out of Canada and don't want to go anywhere right now?
Hey, say what you want about rice and beans, but it sounds simple. The way they do it is so good.
I know, and you'll see that actually I have a food shot later on, and they call it gallo pinto, so it's actually fancy rice and beans, I think. But
We've got
don't
people
get
saying
lost in that
animals.
translation. Yeah. Oh,
People want to
animals.
see
Yeah.
animals,
Don't.
volcano, wildlife, yoga, surfing. Tammy said all the
Oh,
above, everything. She just wants to go.
everything. Yeah, yeah, fair enough. Bags are packed, right? Ready to hop on that plane. So Costa Rica, there's lots to explore. We're actually in Dave's backyard right now in this photo. If you can see, we match.
I stole the picture,
So
sorry.
totally fine. I would too. I mean, what a lovely office you're working in today, Dave. So a couple little bits and pieces of information and the history of Costa Rica. So Christopher Columbus actually landed on Costa Rica in 1502. Costa Rica remained a Spanish colony for nearly 300 years. And then back in 1821, together with a lot of other Central American countries and colonies, they declared their independence from Spain. So wanted to mention that because there's a lot of beautiful sites that you get to see in Costa Rica where you will definitely notice the Spanish architecture. In Spain and in colonized countries, they have created some really beautiful town squares. And if you're traveling in any of the countries where Spain used to kind of run the show, the town center is the perfect spot to do a little bit of people watching. There's always like beautiful fountains and benches, usually a church on one side and a government building on the other side. And you definitely see that in some of the areas in Costa Rica. So since 1938, it became an independent country. In the late 19th century, only 2 brief periods of violence have marred the country's democratic development, which is pretty amazing when you think about some of the crazy histories in other countries in Central and South America. So Costa Rica actually hasn't had a national army since 1948. It's incredibly peaceful. The people there are lovely, and it's a stunningly beautiful destination to visit. It's known for national parks where tourists and travelers can enjoy pretty exciting activities, which I'll talk about in just a few moments. And also one of the best places for animal lovers to discover some of the incredible wildlife that you'll find in the cloud forest and the rainforests. So they're an amazingly intelligent and educated group of locals, which we call Ticos, and they call Ticos. They're really proud of that term. They're a leader in ecotourism. They're blessed with lots of beaches and jungle too, which is an amazing combination. It's really a paradise for adventure travelers, and it's close to get to from Canada. So it doesn't take you 35 hours to get this, this tropical paradise. So it's a destination that is definitely well-loved by our Canadian travelers and the Canadian audience. So in addition to all this kind of interesting information, there are 10 reasons that we think that are why you should be thinking about Costa Rica for your travel plans. You guys have already made it here, so it's already on your radar. But in addition to what you've read and learned before, we want to make sure that these are other reasons that are kind of on your list. And the first is adventure. You kind of should have guessed maybe that adventure would be our number one reason since it's in our name at G Adventures. So if you're a thrill seeker or crave adventure, Costa Rica is the perfect place. I mentioned my experience with my mom traveling there back in the early 2000s, and I don't think she went to Costa Rica for adventure. I was actually in Central America for 7 months, and this was the start of my travels. So we organized this so that we could do a tour together before I turned into a backpacking hippie and lived in hammocks up and down the coast of Central America. This was when I was a lot younger. So adventure wasn't really why she wanted to go to Costa Rica. She wanted to go there for the nature. And the best thing about Costa Rica is that they've got so many unique ways to immerse yourself in the nature. These canopy walks that are created up in the cloud forest are stunning. Costa Rica is really well known for the ziplining tours. If you're not super keen to do the zip line, it's definitely kind of a little bit more stable, I suppose, to walk into canopies. And if you are interested in the zip line, it's a whole lot of fun. It's a very different experience than what you would have had at home. I hope that they have things a little bit, how do I say this? you can go going really fast on the zip lines. So it's incredibly fun. But there's people there catching you. So when my mom was kind of like going through the trees, using her hand to maybe not use the brakes as much as what I had hoped, there was someone at the other side to catch her and to make sure that she was traveling safe too. So in addition to ziplining, you can also get out to go whitewater rafting, kayaking, scuba diving, surfing. You can go cliff diving if you're a little bit crazy. There's skydiving there, lots of things to get your adrenaline pumping. So if you're looking for somewhere where you get to play outside a lot, Costa Rica is a really beautiful destination to consider. I want to show you some of the beautiful photos of some of the experiences that are in destination. So this is the site of the river rafting that can be done on the Macquarie River. The river rafting in Costa Rica is about a 3 or 4 star or 4 grade rapids. So that means it's accessible for commercial use. You don't require any kind of extra skills or portaging needs when you're rafting here. It's pretty spectacular. It does rain quite a bit in the rainy season, so these rivers do ebb and flow in terms of the ferociousness of the rapids, and that's something that, we'll talk a little bit about weather later on in the presentation. Another one of the activities that we like to recommend is the canyoneering. This lovely traveler looks like she's having so much fun. I would love to see that YouTube or the GoPro footage, not YouTube, the GoPro footage that she's capturing on her helmet here as she is rappelling down the waterfall. One of the most popular activities is the ziplining. You can see this traveler with her hand behind her. So these are the brakes that they use in Costa Rica. A little bit different than the Whistler ziplining that I did, where it's fully controlled. This is actually a way more fun experience. No offense to Whistler ziplining, but way more fun experience as you're really feeling like you're in control of your own adventure, which means you can go fast or slow or whatever you like. The kayaking that's available, not only ocean kayaking, but there's also a really beautiful lake in the center of the country, the freshwater lake, man-made lake actually, that you can get out and do some kayaking. Or you can do the paddleboarding if you'd like. I couldn't find any good pictures of paddleboarding because I think most time people are they're either concentrating so hard that their face is all squished up and they're frowning, or they're falling off. So I skipped those photos in place, put in this Costa Rica kayaking photo. And horseback riding, another great activity, popular for lots of travelers. There's an excellent horseback riding option where you can do in between La Fortuna, which is a site of the volcano, and up in towards Monteverde. So really beautiful horses in destination. Personally, I'm allergic, so this is not my favorite activity, but I know it's a big time traveler favorite. Number 2 reason to go to Costa Rica is the national parks. These leaves actually make me think of that movie, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. The size and the scale of the trees and the vegetation in the parks is massive because it's, of course, mostly rainforest and cloud forest that you're experiencing in Costa Rica. So Costa Rica is home to 27 national parks and 5% of the world's biodiversity. So it's not all just jungles like this. There's the cloud forest that I mentioned, there's swamps, there's coral reefs, there's dry forests, and then the rainforests. One of the rainiest rainforests in Costa Rica is actually called Corcovado, and they got 200 inches of rain a year, and that's a lot. One of the best things to do in Costa Rica is to take a hike, and to do that with a naturalist guide, because in addition to just the beauty, there's a lot of interesting things that they do and they produce with the flora that you find in the jungle. And of course, you have the chance to see monkeys. So that's always a really great reason to get into the national parks. Here's some photos of some of the actual parks that you have the chance to visit. So this is up in the cloud forest again. That's another one of those great canopy walks. This is in Manuel Antonio National Park with some travelers that are out with a naturalist guide, learning about all the bird life in the canopies. And Rincon de la Vieja National Park boasts some pretty spectacular waterfalls. That is definitely one of the benefits of living in somewhere that there's a bit of rain, is that there's stunning waterfalls usually around every corner. Volcanoes, we're back in Dave's backyard here. There are 6 active volcanoes and over 60 dormant or extinct volcanoes in this really small Central American country. The Arenal volcano is one of Costa Rica's most popular attractions. This is located by La Fortuna. La Fortuna is the town closest to Arenal volcano. And it's a great location. There's a lot of things to see and do around this area. So you can do a hike in the lower levels of the volcano. Alongside this volcano, there's some pretty spectacular hot springs. So definitely put that on your radar. The most famous is called the Tabicon Hot Springs. It's visited in a lot of tour itineraries, but there's some other smaller ones that are equally as stunning. This volcano used to erupt like clockwork every night around 10 o'clock. It's been dormant for a number of years now. So if you're looking at older photos of the volcano, you might see one where it's kind of red hot lava, but now it's nice and sleepy. It's usually clouded at the top with that cloud. If you look into and behind Dave's background, you can see a little bit of the top of the volcano there. So lots of spas and resorts in the area that definitely take advantage of the natural hot springs created from this volcano. And what an amazing view this would be. So this is one of the accommodations in the area where you've got this beautiful view on the back deck. So because of Costa Rica's volcanoes, the country is very rich and it has very fertile soil. So there's a lot of agriculture happening, and you'll notice this in traveling the roads throughout Costa Rica. And this helps to make it so lush and full of life. This area is also really well known for hiking and mountain biking and camping, and you can get on one of those horses and do a little horse riding right around the volcano. Rainforest, number 4 on our list. About 25% of Costa Rica is made up of protected national parks and rainforests. So these hold that 5% of the world's biodiversity that I mentioned before. Now, rainforests in Costa Rica are home to nearly 100 species of trees, which is exactly why having a naturalist guide with you to talk you through the forest, it turns it into a bit of an interpretive walk when you're going with one of our local guides. So if you want to know the difference between rainforests and cloud forests, because I've mentioned them a couple times, rainforests, of course, are located at lower elevations. They tend to be much warmer just based on their elevation, especially during the dry season. And then the cloud forests are much higher up, which tend to be much cooler. So we'll talk a little bit later about what you need to be packing for Costa Rica, because the way that the country is, I was going to say designed, but the way that the country is laid out, there's a central mountain range, there's the Pacific kind of ridge, and then there's the Caribbean ridge. And so there's completely different climates from north to south. But if you're getting up into any of those mountain areas, it is going to be a little bit cooler in the evenings. It's a little bit cooler in the cloud forest. So you want to be packing for the beach, but also be packing something for the cooler evenings or even those wet days if you're there and it's a little bit wet. Now, in part due to the rainforest, there are giant versions of orchids, as well as sloths, my faves, monkeys, lots of birds that can be found in the depths of the jungles and the rainforests in Costa Rica. Number 5 on our list is beaches. So you really can have a little bit of everything, I think, in this like tiny little Central American country. It's been established that Costa Rica cares about its environment a lot. It makes significant efforts to protect its parklands and national parks. And same goes for the beaches. The country has more than 800 miles of pristine, beautiful shoreline on both the Pacific and the Caribbean coasts. Now, I want to show you some of the feature beaches and talk a little bit about the areas and the most popular beaches in Costa Rica. So the most well-known beaches are located in the northwest of Costa Rica. So this is called the Guanacaste, spelled with a G, and the Nicoya Peninsula. So this is where you'll find places like Tamarindo, Montezuma, Santa Teresa, and Malpais. Those might be some names that you've heard if you've done a little bit of research on Costa Rica. Jaco is the beach that's closest to San Jose. So San Jose is the capital that's located in the Central Valley, and that's where you'd be flying into. Jaco is the beach closest to San Jose, and it's maybe about an hour's drive from San Jose. And this is where you find lots of traffic on the weekends from locals that are getting out of the city, usually a stop on most itineraries. And then if you go further south, you find a little bit more jungly beaches. So untouched beaches at Manuel Antonio, which is a national park, and Dominical, which is well known for surfing. They have one of the longest lefts in the world. And I don't surf, so I have no idea what that means, but I definitely saw this on a sign when I was there years ago. If you're heading over to the Caribbean coast, you'll find Tortuguero, Cajita, and Puerto Viejo, which translates to Old Port. Puerto Viejo is well known for the black sand beaches, and they have reef breaks, so really well known for surfing in that area too. Now, number 6 on my list for why to go to Costa Rica, you might have guessed it earlier, it's sloths. How cool are these animals? They are spectacular to see. They're kind of a gem when you actually do see them, because they don't move a lot in the jungle, so you really have to look for them. Fortunately, the naturalist guides in Costa Rica know what their habitats usually look like and can spot them before you even think to look in the sky. They're the slowest animals in the world, so once you see them, they're not going to run away from you, I guess. They will sit pretty and let you take lots of photos, and they just look so goofy. They're definitely made to be cartoon animals. So look in the trees when you're driving along the road or hike in the jungles, and you could be lucky to spot yourself a sloth, or maybe even 2. In addition to those guys, wildlife is a big reason. So this is number 7 on our list. So according to CostaRica.org, over 30% of the country is dedicated to parks, which means there are lots of places for animals to hide. Pretty much everywhere you go, there's wildlife to discover. There are over 500,000 species of animals, which is crazy to think about. So some of the most famous ones are the scarlet macaws, so the very vibrant red birds, howler monkeys, which you will hear howling. If you've ever overnighted in anywhere that there's howler monkeys, you may have woken to think that the world was ending, but in fact, that was just the sound of a howler monkey. So be aware, they're not coming to get you by any means. They just like to make some crazy sounds overnight, just to let you know that they're there. If you have a chance, do a little Google later and listen to what a howler monkey sounds like, and you'll understand what I mean. In addition to those guys, there's also lots of beautiful, colorful butterflies, whales, iguanas, sea turtles, and these guys, the tree frogs. A super unique one, if you have the chance to see, a walking stick, another one that is really just destined to be a cartoon character. I've been watching too many kids movies, I think, on Netflix lately. Tree frogs are amazing if you can spot them. Again, the naturalist guides will always know what to listen for, what areas to look in when you're doing the walks through the forest. So finding this on your own at night would be virtually impossible, but going with a naturalist guide, you've got that built-in local expert to show you and to kind of point out all these the creepy crawlies of the jungle. One of the most famous creatures in Costa Rica, though, has got to be the sea turtle. Tortuguero is where travelers go and visit the sea turtles. We support animal welfare, obviously, with G Adventures. We have a policy dedicated to it, to observe but not interact with creatures. We want to protect their natural environment and make sure that they are appreciated in destination. So these guys, though, I mean, what a beast of an animal. So these sea turtles, this guy is a green sea turtle, so he can weigh up to, I think I wrote down earlier, 400 pounds, which is just insane to think about. And they have up to 7,000 eggs in a season. They also don't move very fast, so when you spot them, you will be fortunate to have a beautiful interaction of observing them and the chance to take some really spectacular photos too. This guy's a little bit more elusive, a little bit smaller, harder to spot. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Just before we go on further, do you mind repeating where to find sea turtles and when's the best time too?
Yeah, for sure. So the sea turtles are in Tortuguero, so that's on the Caribbean coast of Costa Rica. There are actually 4 different species that nest in Tortuguero. There's leatherbacks, loggerheads, hawksbills, and the most famous one are the green sea turtles. So the green sea turtles are most famous because they're the biggest. So 400 pounds, I mean, that's a monster turtle when you think about that. Can you imagine swimming next to that in the ocean?
Oh my God.
So in terms of season, their nesting season is peak between July and October. So with seasonality in Costa Rica, it really just has kind of 2 seasons. So they call it the green season, which is the wet season. They call it green because it's Costa Rica and it's rainforesty, and you get beautiful jungle, of course, where there's lots of rain. So the green season or wet season is May to November. So it's part of that where you'll find the sea turtles and tortuguero. And then of course the dry season is December to April. So the most popular time to go is that December to April. But for the sea turtles, you want to get there between July and October.
Great, thanks.
No problem. Yeah, this guy, he's my new favorite lizard. My nephews had a bearded dragon recently. If they could have one of these as a pet, I would encourage it, even though I do believe in animal welfare. Really interesting to observe better in its natural environment. And this is called the jungle lizard, so you won't ever forget his name. Also in Costa Rica, there is a lot of birds. My husband is an avid birder and just can't wait to get to Costa Rica for that reason. I tease him all the time about being a bird nerd, but there are so many fascinating birds to see. Here in BC, we are always looking to see if we can see bald eagles and ospreys and hawks. But in Costa Rica, there are more than 812 recorded species found in Costa Rica. So lots of bird watching to be had because of the jungle, because of the climate, because of the weather patterns. This is a heron. The most beautiful one though is a scarlet macaw, and that's the one that's red. It has an incredibly long tail. It's usually like 2 or 3 feet actually. And they're stunning to watch. Number 8 on our list is food, because food is so important when you're traveling. Costa Rica is one of those destinations that didn't really get a great reputation for food. I mentioned it earlier, rice and beans. But Dave's right, their rice and beans are good. It's gallo pinto, and I'll show you a photo. I think it's in one of the photos coming up.
And amazing fruits, the tastiest fruits
yeah,
ever.
Yeah, some of the most popular dishes include vuelve a la vida, which is similar to ceviche, arreglados, which is a type of sandwich. Here you can see, I don't know if you want to translate any of these fruit words, Dave. I know naranja is orange. The other one,
I think
sure.
melon is melon.
I think I got.
Damn
I think we got that one. One of the other fruits that you'll see everywhere is pineapples. So in Europe, actually, almost 75% of their pineapples come from Costa Rica. So if you go to Costa Rica, make sure you're eating a lot of pineapples. Super delicious. In addition to pineapples, though, you can find like coconut, mangoes, papaya, pineapple, more pineapples, yucca, guava, and my personal favorite is guanabana. Have you had that, Dave? Guanabana?
Sorry, I was focused on typing a question. Yes, I did, because, but the only reason I had it was because you told me that I had to have it.
Yeah, good advice though, right?
I'm
so
100%.
guanabana, guanabana, you might have heard it called soursop before, but guanabana is way more fun to say. So we'll go with guanabana. It's actually like a big, huge fruit with spikes on the side, and the flesh of it is white, but they make it into really good smoothies and really great juices. You'll find lots of fish and seafood in Costa Rica. While Peru claims to be the king of ceviche, Costa Rica's got their own version of it, and it's really popular. There in Costa Rica, they use kind of just traditional ingredients of lime, fish, obviously, salt, pepper, onions, cilantro, and a little bit of peppers. Here you can see it with some fresh mango on top and avocado on the side, and it looks super delish. Tortillas also, like most kind of Latin American countries, you'll find tortillas on the menu. Tortilla de queso is one of the staples in Costa Rica. They eat that for breakfast or coffee, and queso is cheese. This is a very important word to know if you're traveling to Costa Rica. So these are not the regular tortillas that you eat with tacos. They are, they have cheese in the dough, and then they're cooked like this in a traditional way, topped with a little bit of sour cream and then some more cheese added on top. So really pretty delicious to snack on. This is one of the most traditional plates in Costa Rica. So this is what a typical kind of lunch would look like. here they haven't mixed the rice and beans, but when it is mixed, again, it's called gallo pinto. I love the name. It means spotted rooster. If you're really good at Spanish, you got that one already. But on the left-hand side, you can see a little bit of plantain, a little bit of fish, the tortilla with some, looks like a bit of a salsa there, and a fresh salad. Super fresh menus everywhere you go. And when you're traveling with a tour guide, you get that luxury of having a menu translator who's available 24/7. So when you're ordering gallo pinto, you don't actually get a spotted rooster. You'll get a traditional rice and beans dish, which is very important. Number 9 on our list is for the coffee. We love coffee. So Java Lover's Paradise, Costa Ricans drink about 6 cups of coffee a day. I'm not quite at that level. I'm at a kind of a 1 cup of coffee a day limit, but I don't judge if you're doing 6. It's one of the main drivers for the economy in Costa Rica. So you will definitely have the chance to get a good cup of coffee or a bag of coffee beans while you're in destination. One of the favorite experiences that you can have super easily, in Costa Rica is visiting one of the coffee plantations. Mi Cafecito, I mentioned earlier, is an agricultural co-op which is supported by G Adventures. A lot of our travelers stop through here as part of the tour itinerary, where travelers get to visit the site of the coffee plantation. They get to pick the coffee beans. They get to learn about the actual coffee process from harvest to brew. They taste the coffee. You can try different kinds of coffee, and of course you can purchase bags of the coffee to take home. This is what we use to power G Adventures globally. So very important program for us, but it's also really great on the economy of the area because the program at Mi Cafecito supports over 200 farmers in the area. So they're bringing together all of these farmers to work together to produce organic coffee from the 4 regions, Sarapiqui, San Carlos, Herida, and Alajuela, which is pretty incredible. Number 10 on our list is for the Pura Vida. Everyone needs some pure life right now. Their life philosophy is so simplistic. It is beautiful, and they take it to heart. The culture and the people of Costa Rica are very diverse, but they all live by the simplest of life and country slogans. They've also always been ranked in that kind of happiest people index, which probably has something to do with this Pura Vida philosophy that they've really embraced. They also even use this phrase as a way to kind of like greet people, like when they say like, how are you? Some people will say Pura Vida. So real life slogan here, and really pretty, they make it look pretty easy to achieve in Costa Rica. So that's our top 10. There are so many other things that we could have added to the list, but we wanted to keep it really concise. Just to add to the reasons that you've shown up for tonight, whatever it is that you mentioned earlier that is drawing you to Costa Rica. I know for my husband, I mentioned it's all about the birds. We talk about it probably every week when we can go to Costa Rica because he really wants to go and see all of the birds. So with G Adventures, there's quite a few different ways to see Costa Rica. The itineraries that we have, there's 23 different touring options for you, the travelers, to see Costa Rica. So we're going to take you through kind of a little bit of a sample, like it's a real brief overview of some of the most popular ones that we do. As a reminder, like the way that we run our tours at G Adventures, it's big focus on local. We employ local guides, we stay in locally owned properties. And it's a real fun way to travel, a real kind of grassroots, authentic way. So there's a bit of structure to make sure that you get to see all the things you want to see, and then that flexibility and freedom, because we know that at heart you're all true world explorers. So our first one that I wanted to mention is our classic style of tour. So if you haven't traveled with us before, the classic way to travel is by using local accommodations, local transportation. We include lots of activities, but there's also lots of built-in optional activities for you to take advantage of. The accommodations that we're staying in are always local. So the price point on these ones has always been really good. This is actually the tour that I did years ago with my folks, the Costa Rica Quest. We've tagged this one with Plus, which I'll explain to you in just a moment. This is a 9-day itinerary, loops around from San Jose, and there you can see the map of Costa Rica. I've been kind of visualizing it for you, but there's a real map. So San Jose, start and end point, that's the capital in the Central Valley. On this particular tour, we get to go soaking in the hot springs at Erin volcano. We go from there to search for wildlife in the cloud forest in Monteverde. Down in the south, we go hiking in Manuel, Antonio, where we get to see monkeys and look out for those howler monkeys. We watch sunsets over the Pacific, and then we get to visit Mi Cafecito, which is located just outside of San Jose. So there's lots of action built into this. There's lots of activities. You can do that ziplining if you want to. You can try bodyboarding in Manuel Antonio, or go horseback riding in La Fortuna if that's something that you're interested in. So it's a really nice kind of taste of Costa Rica. We've got a longer version that's our Costa Rica adventure. That's actually a 16-day package. So a little bit longer. It gets over to the Caribbean coast when you extend to the Costa Rica adventure. Now, the plus on this is new for us from last year. It's part of our Travel with Confidence Plus collection. So what we've done is we've identified 40 incredible small group tours, and we've added in extra health and safety measures. So we've reduced the group sizes on this. We've made it even more affordable for solo travelers to go with their own room. We've included more private transportation, where sometimes we would have used local transportation before. So all in all, it's a little bit more space, a little bit smaller group, and more personal space. So if you're looking through our touring options, anything that's tagged plus is part of the Travel with Confidence Plus collection. The next one that I wanted to mention is our active tours. So although adventure is in our name, you don't have to be a mountain climber to join our adventures. If you're interested in something super active though, have a look through the active collection, because this will let you hike, bike, multi-sport, kayak, stand-up paddleboard, you rappel your way around the planet. So we provide the equipment and the experts, and then you just have to show up with some energy. The Costa Rica Active Adventure is a really great example of an active tour that we have. It's 13 days. All of our tours loop out of San Jose. We go paddling through the Macquarie River, which I shared with you earlier. We get to attempt surfing in Puerto Viejo. Notice that we include like attempt rather than go surfing. So you can try your hand at surfing with a lesson in Puerto Viejo. We do some mountain biking up in La Fortuna in the shadow of the volcano. And then we do some hiking and getting into some canyons at Monteverde. Next up is our National Geographic collection. Hopefully you've heard of this before. It's our partnership with National Geographic. All these tours are designed to take you deeper into the cultures and habitats of the places that we explore. So there's a little bit more inclusions here. The accommodation is a little bit more upgraded. We've got more kind of hands-on interaction and more educational content with the Nat Geo Journeys programs. But there's always that freedom within the structure. So a little bit of freedom and flexibility in there too. This is our Explore Costa Rica. This is one of our most popular tours in the area. It's 2 weeks out of San Jose again. A couple things that make this one really special and part of the National Geographic Journeys collection. So we're visiting the Monteverde Institute to listen to a lecture from a researcher. So high on the educational content. We are hands-on learning how to make those yummy queso tortillas at a local family's home. We're going through a national park at Tortilla to do some wildlife spotting through the canals. We're sitting in a hot springs, which sounds just terribly awful right now, and learning a little bit about the sea turtles from an expert in the Sea Turtle Conservancy, and that's actually up at Tortilla too. Plus, we get into the jungles and the rainforest at Manuel Antonio, the cloud forest in Monteverde. As a spin-off from our National Geographic programs, we've also introduced Nat Geo Family Tours. So National Geographic Family Journeys are for those families that want to adventure together. So what we've seen with these, we're getting lots of people that are taking their grandkids and leaving their kids at home, so the grandparent vacation, or lots of families that want to travel together. So if you're going with your kids and you have friends that have kids a similar age, amazing. Or if you have If you are just a parent of one child and you like the idea of having other kids in destination with your child, then these are great. The group sizes are a little bit bigger, so we can accommodate 4, maybe 5 families in each one. And there's obviously the guarantee that there's going to be other kids there for your kid or kids to play with. The example of this is our Costa Rica family journey. So it's rainforest to coast, out of San Jose again. With this particular tour, we have kept it kind of a little bit shorter on the travel duration, so seems to fit better for our families planning vacation. We've made it really hands-on, so the kids get to do that ziplining, they go kind of canopy walking, they go on night walks through the cloud forest. Like, it's almost like a summer camp in the jungle. The feedback's been really good from both parents and kids on this, because there's lots to keep parents happy, and then the kids are just like really embracing their outdoor explorer genes, I guess, and getting out there and doing things kind of like hands-on and getting involved. The last travel style I wanted to mention is our wellness program. So these were launched a couple of years ago, and this is our balance of kind of mindfulness, movement, and nourishment in destination. So it's like a tour, but it's focused on these 3 pillars. So there's yoga included, there's optional meditation, there's locally sourced food, lots of kind of really cool cultural interactions, peaceful accommodations, and a little bit kind of slower pace. So 8 days out of San Jose, lots of activity built into this one. So paddleboarding on Lake Erin, we're doing some hiking, we're going kind of a little off the beaten path to stay in Rincon de la Vieja. And then again, find your balance during a surf lesson. I love how we describe this. So not just go surfing, because we all know it's kind of hard, but we want you to try it and we want you to give it your best shot. So when you're thinking about traveling in this style, a lot of people think adventure travel it means that you're going to have to live in a hammock, like I did when I was in my early 20s for a week on the Caribbean coast of Costa Rica. That is not what we do at G. Our style of travel is much more comfortable. Our accommodations are boutique, unique, locally owned, really beautifully selected for not only their location, but their amenities that they are offering in destination, their proximity to activities, and the kindness, to be honest, of the teams that are running these properties. We can get a little bit rustic. So this is actually one of the places that we stay at on the active tour. This is the Macquarie Lodge, but the majority of the properties are a little bit more like this. This is one of the properties in La Fortuna. And then inside, I mean, it's a locally owned, unique hotel room. In terms of when to go, I mentioned a little bit earlier about the green season developed by the Costa Rica marketing team. So the green or wet season, and that the rainy season, I guess we'll call it, is May to November for all intensive purposes. The wettest months, so are September and October. It's the best time, or the dry time to visit is December to April. So that's when you'll see we actually have extra departures over those months usually to accommodate the growing demand for travel in that time of the year. And then in regards to what to pack and how to prepare, Costa Rica is a destination with quite a few different climate zones. So you can be on the beach in the morning, and then you can be in the rainforest in the afternoon. So we always recommend packing in layers. Once you've chosen your itinerary, there will be a complete packing list provided to you through your travel agent, and that will have really kind of minute details on it in terms of what to pack. Nothing technical is required for this. We do recommend, of course, that you're traveling with us, that you are packing. You don't always have to bring a backpack, but usually a soft-sided suitcase is good. Some sort of footwear that will allow you to climb up stairs like this. And the most important thing to pack is your sense of adventure. Now, when you're looking to travel, we want to let you know that we have built in new health and safety protocols as part of our travel with confidence policy. So we're really focused on making sure that resuming travel is done in a safe way for you, the traveler, for our employees, for our partners in destination. So we put into place new physical distancing and cleaning measures for our tours moving forward. until we're through to the other side of the pandemic. The new travel with confidence policy has these procedures in it that will be in place from when you book your tour, when you leave on your tour, when you're in destination, all the way until when you get home. Right now, we're thinking that it's a good time to book now for travel later as we plan for later 2021 and then onwards into 2022. There are some really great offers in the market to encourage you to get your travel plans locked in, because we all know we've been home for way too long. And from the comments earlier, it seems like a lot of people are ready to pack their bags now. So we're happy to have you here for a little bit of inspiration.